Alright, welcome back to part 3 of the little blacksmith shop. Today we're going to make the forge. It's actually pretty simple and we're going to learn some new tools. Underneath the push-pull there's one called Follow Me, so make sure that one's, you know where it's at. We don't need it selected right now because we need to do a few other things first. So what we're going to do, let's get this picture up, is we're just going to make this forge part. I'm going to let you guys do this piece right here and this piece, and I'll let you guys figure out this piece. We've done all of this stuff, so right now you should be pretty well versed in figuring out how to get things to work. Okay, so we're going to talk about solids for a minute. Now, if you're just planning on making this to take a picture of in a render and then hang it up somewhere or post it on Facebook of saying, this is a cool 3D model I made, some casual game art, that's cool. But if you're planning on printing it or printing anything, this one's going to be hard to print because it is definitely not optimized for FDM printers. But if you're planning on printing things that you make, try to make every object a solid the best you can, even if they're just floating solids. And what I mean by that is a solid sitting on top of another solid, and I'll explain that here in a minute. So go ahead and hit C. No, go ahead and hit T and drag a guide from the blue axis some arbitrary distance over here. Hit C and make a 24-sided circle, or however you want. And then we're going to run along the red axis, right arrow key, and you're going to type in 3, make 3 meters. We're going to hit P, and we're going to lift it up 6 meters. Okay, we're going to make this a group. Okay. Now, up here in Entity Info, it is a solid. That's what we want. Okay, now we need to make the revolved portion, this little hemispherical shape. And that's actually really easy to do. And that's where the Follow Me tool comes in. We're going to hit C. We need 2 circles. We need one along here at 3 meters. That is our guide for it to revolve around. And then we got to go back to the center. Going to hit the left arrow key to make a green along the green axis, and we're going to type in, hit the red arrow key and then type in 3. We're going to have that. So now a lot of people are going to make this mistake where they select their path and then they hit, first we got to select the Follow Me tool, okay, and you hit the path that you want to extrude about, click Follow Me, and then you click the object you want to extrude, and they're going to freak out wondering what just happened. That's because when we made that top circle, look what happens when we select this edge. Only half of it is getting selected because this is cutting it in half. So we need to select both of them, hit the Follow Me, and then click the face. Okay, triple click, reverse faces, we want it to look nice. Okay, so now this is technically not a solid because we have this internal face from that circle left there. And you could, if you wanted a perfect sphere, one way that we could have done it is, instead of using the circle right here, right on top, we could have made the circle at the bottom underneath it, and it would be a perfect solid. But the reason why I chose to do it right here is because we don't need a full circle, we only need half circles. So go ahead, delete that bottom face off, and now triple click it, make a group, and it will say solid. Okay, thank you for that little pause there. I had an important phone call come in. Okay, so now let's look at this. It's a solid group, so that's what we want. If we were to export this, there would be no issues printing it. So let's go to display and do the last hidden one. I'm not going to show, okay, actually I am, because you're going to see some crazy stuff. Look at this. I have this tower already built. I don't know where the barrel, well, it looks like I must have deleted the barrel and everything. Oh well, didn't mean to delete. We'll just have to remake them. No big deal. You can see I've already made this one back here, but I wanted to show you how to do it. I always try to prepare ahead of time. So I'm going to, okay, so this is what I mean by floating solids. We have that solid and this solid, and they're just right on top of each other. Now, if we were to cut this, paste it in place in this group, and intersect the faces, we would have to clean up the model by getting rid of that internal face in order to make it a solid. I'm not wanting to do that because when I exported this, just like this, into a slicer, it doesn't care about that paper thin face. The infill goes all the way across. It doesn't all of a sudden have a solid infill. It brings them in just fine. So I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so now let's make this top portion. So in order to do this, the best way is to make a flat piece right here to do the extrusion. So let's make that. We're going to take a rectangle tool, R, go right here, the intersection, hit the up arrow, hit the control key to do it about the center, and we're going to, I'm thinking a 2 by 2. Okay, perfect. Now, speaking of exporting as STLs, when it exports and you open it up in your slicer, you need to, SketchUp exports it as unitless, so when you open it up in your slicer, if you're set to inches, it's going to scale it to inches. Like this is 6 and 9, so this is 9 meters high. So if you're in inches, this would be 9 inches high. Or since it's in millimeters in my slicer, this would be 9 millimeters high. So you're gonna have to scale up. No big deal. I had to scale by 1,000% just to make it visible. You know, I mean, no big deal. Okay, let's push pull this by 0.25. Triple click it, make a, technically we don't need a group. Show you what we're going to do. This is going to be our cutting surface per se. So I'm going to hit the M tool, click on the midpoint, hit the up arrow, and I'm just going to move it down 0.15 meters. Okay, and that looks pretty decent. So now I'm going to do a control X, go in here, do a right click, paste in place, do a right click, intersect faces with context. Context means within the group. With model, it would just be on the surface. With selection, it would work as long as you have the surface of the dome selected. With context is kind of what it's touching. That's a bad example. I just don't know how to explain it any better. I'm going to try to make a video on that though. Okay. So now you can see how it's made profile lines around there. So let's go ahead and delete that surface. Perfect, we've got our line right there. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Now you can see on the dome that profile. So I'm going to delete it. And there's our flat spot. Do a reverse faces, and then go ahead and clean up the rest. Okay, now that it's all cleaned up, you can see that flat portion. So let's go ahead and open it up. Now, no, we're not going to open it up. You could, and you could make, let's double check, is it still a solid? Good. You could extrude this portion on the inside, but remember, I like my geometry separate, so C for circle, click it on the intersection, right arrow key, and we're going to just, till it clicks there, it's 0.89 meters. That's okay. And then we're going to lift it up, and I'm going to go 1 meter. Does that look? I don't know. You guys choose. Nah, 1 meter's not tall enough. Let's go with another ½ meter. That looks good. Kind of looks like an old school bottle. I like that. So what we're going to do, triple click that, make it a group. Okay. We're getting better. Now we're going to do C for circle again along the red axis. And we're going to go out 1.5 meters. And we're going to go up 0.15. No, we're not. We're going to go 0.5. Wow. Let's do that again. 0.5. It didn't register the decimal. Okay. Now, I'm going to... Let's see. How do I want to do this? I'm debating if I want to make this a group or not. You know what? Let's just make it a group. Okay, now what we need to do is offset a small circle right here. No, let's go in, let's grab this top face, control copy, do a paste in place. Okay, and then we're going to do an offset of, let's do 0.4. Okay, and then we're going to delete that face, so all we have is this ring. And what we're going to do, take your line tool, and you're going to draw a line from edge to edge right there. Let's do this one to that one. Push pull, you're going to lift it up 0.5, and you're going to do that 3 times. And we're going to try to make sure it stays a solid. Okay, push pull, double click it. Okay. Push pull, double click. Okay, so let's triple click that. The only downfall with this is we've got this paper thin face right here, and SketchUp is not going to like that. So we could lift up each edge just for some extra ambiance. Not ambiance, I guess that works. Double click it, or you could delete them. Personally, I like the look of that, so I'm going to triple click it, make a right click group, and it's definitely not a solid, mostly due probably to, see if we can hide that, due to that. So let's go ahead and close it off. This can get a little tricky. So you're just going to start closing lines off until the surface closes. Okay, so inside the group, it took me 2 lines. It took one from here and one from there. So I'm going to go ahead and erase those. Now, I don't know. Hopefully now it's a solid. It is. Perfect. Okay, so sometimes that happens when we extrude. I don't know why it does that. I've never been able to figure it out. It happens in the Pro version, so I'm not going to worry about it. But just remember, sometimes that happens. So, okay, now that's good. So, let's go ahead and make a copy of this. Hit the Move tool, and then Control, click, and then up arrow to bring it up, and just bring it to there. Click again, and then just bring it until it's constrained on that edge right there. Okay, and there we go. Everything right here is a solid. Let's go up to entity info. Yep, solid, 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 solid. Now, you could intersect them all, but that would take a while. I don't need to if we're just making a cool render of this. So, now, whoops, don't triple click. You want to highlight everything, okay? And then we're just going to move it into place. Okay. Now, this is what is funny. When you move it into place like this without intersecting it, when you take it into your slicer, it actually sees this piece in there and starts building the cylinder all the way up. So if you're going to 3D print, it might be best to intersect at least the cylinder portion with the roof, and at least with the main house of the body, or the main body of the house, and get rid of any internal lines. That way when it exports, you're all fine. But since we're not caring about 3D printing this particular one, we don't need to worry about it. The only thing I would worry about is if I click this one, I would right click, intersect faces with, let's try selection, you know, just so that we can get that border right there, even though if we were to move this, it leaves that outline there, you know. But since we're not going to be 3D printing, this is just for a render, it looks like it's connected, and that's what we want. And we need to do it with the main body of the house as well. So intersect faces, you do with model or selection. We did with selection last time. Let's do with model. Does the same thing. So okay, so now that is all taken care of and done. So we learned a lot today, went through a lot of steps. Not too shabby though, we're getting closer. I mean, this is pretty cool. So the next video I'm going to show is how to do the rectangular house portion and this little piece. This little piece is really easy. It's actually just a copy of this scaled down, and then of like the actual this piece right here extruded a little bit and then scaled in a different shape, and then you just smash it in. So I'm gonna let you guys do this piece, figure it out. This is just a extruded ring, just moved right here, and this is just an extruded arched shape. So, and this is just a cylinder, and then another cylinder, and then a cone using the follow me. So if you want to go ahead and do that, some of these details like the bars and the fire were all added in Photoshop. So if you want to continue ahead of me, go ahead and do so. But so far we're doing pretty good, so I can't wait to finish this project with you guys. So thank you for watching, and happy modeling.